Hey everyone, it's Masket here, and today we are diving in deep into the world of some of my best anatomy tips. Well, whatever, you're a student, a healthcare professional, or just curious about how your body works, you're in for some really good tips. So I'll be drawing some of my one-shot, upcoming one-shot, almost finished. I'll be just drawing some characters from it, and while I do that, I'll be talking about some really good anatomy tips. Let's begin with why it matters. The basics are really essential for drawing characters, and you need characters to tell a comic story. So you should begin with the skeletal system. This framework of bones provides structure and support, protection of your body. Did you know that the human skeleton has over 200 bones? Well, you don't really need to know all of them or remember any names, but you should at least know some of the main and more important bigger bones. Just like you're building a house, you'll begin with the skeleton and then you start with the bricks. No, actually you begin with the basement and then with the skeleton. And the basement would actually be you getting this the hand of some drawing skills, and you don't really need much to draw a skeleton, so that's a very good thing. Just have to be able to draw some sticks that kind of look like bones, and when you master that, you go to the next step, and that would be, of course, let's compare it with the house again. The bricks would be your muscles of flesh. You don't need to remember every muscle again, just like with the bones. You just need to know the main and bigger ones, and of course after time you probably will kind of learn some names and some like more refined muscles that other people may not draw, but you draw them because, or you don't draw them but you know that they are there, and that comes with experience. And that's a very important step because it's here that you kind of combine your basic stick figures with basic shapes, because muscles make the overall shape. All the other details, like I don't know, like scars and hairstyles, these are all like details. The basic thing is, of course, the muscles combined with the skeleton, because the form, for example, of the head is formed by the skeleton, the skull, not really by the muscles. If you look at the shoulder, you see more of the muscles, because if you remove the muscles, then you kind of have another shape. And if you do that with the head, if you remove the muscles, you kind of have still the same thing, a round shape. So that's why these two are kind of important. Now, onto the circulatory system. I mean, I would compare the circulatory system with details, like the network of, let's say, like organs and blood vessels. These things aren't visible, and that goes also for your details. These things aren't visible. You probably know about the step where you zoom out of your artwork and you see if it kind of works. Same thing, like you won't see the details, you will see the main elements, and these are again the muscles. So yeah, just like you don't really study things that aren't visible, like you won't. I never saw someone trained to draw organs like lungs or livers or stomachs, because these things aren't visible. The same thing with your details. These are not visible. They are visible for you because you draw them, you zoom in, you think that these matters, but actually they don't. They don't really matter. So focus on the more important thing. And these two things are enough for beginners. But if you're someone who is more advanced, I would really recommend to also master perspective. And perspective is important because now you are not only applying the first two things that you learned, you also think about perspective that you really can use to get more out of your characters. So this is really interesting, and I would say don't go into perspective if you didn't master the first two steps. So after you kind of mastered these, you can really go to the more pro level, and that would be where you incorporate more complex things. And what is more difficult than combining your knowledge of the skeleton and muscles and perspective? That would be, if you're drawing your characters, storytelling. And how do you tell story? Well, this is very interesting. For you to tell a story, your characters have to show gesture. And of course, gesture is also linked to the first two steps, and maybe the third, depending on the pose that you draw. And you shouldn't underestimate the hands when you're talking about gesture. Hands can really like make it work. So if you combine these storytelling, that's something for me that was lacking in my characters. My character, like if you just draw a character that's looking in front of him, like no, maybe a bit like muscles here and there, but still that's all it is. It's just a kind of a puppet. But if you want something more interesting, try to really incorporate that dynamic feeling. And for example, here you have a drawing of a patron of mine, whose name I will not mention because he's really shy, but his friend has this cool looking character, reptilian. Now let's think how we can make this better, and this will probably be with the third and the fourth step. So that would be perspective, dynamic perspective, and storytelling. How can I get more out of this? Like how do I get more out of this post? And you do that by also looking out for good references. If you really like a master, you may be able to do it without, but even a master would be more like faster if he use references, and it's used by professionals. So there is nothing like kinda like you don't. Some people think that if you use references that you're cheating, but you really don't. And I would recommend you to don't be foolish and to use refs. So that will be all. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. That helps me with making more educational content. And until next time, and stay curious. Bye bye.